Have your attention, please. Let's get the meeting started. I'd like to call the Wednesday, February 18, 2015 council meeting to order. It's approximately 5:57 p.m. This evening. The invocation will be by Pastor Conrad De La Torres, pastor of the Fusion Miami Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance with Councilwoman Faircloth and the Police Explorers. Would you all please stand? I don't see the pastor, so we'll just go ahead with the pledge. Oh, I'm sorry, please. I'm sorry, sir. Step to the podium and, sorry, I didn't recognize you.
I'd like to read shortly from 1 Timothy 2. I exhort, therefore, that first of all, supplications and prayers, intercessions, and giving of thanks be made for all men, for kings, and for all that are in authority, that we may lead a quiet and peaceable life in all godliness and honesty. For this is good and acceptable in the sight of God our Savior. Let's pray. Lord God, we ask wisdom. We thank you for our nation, Lord. We ask that you would give guidance and efficiency to the meeting, and Lord, that things would be done in order and in ways that benefit our community. Thank you, God, for the many freedoms that we enjoy here, and the right to come and to bring our requests both to you and to these that run the city. God, make it a special evening and be first in everyone's life and everyone's heart, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Please join me in honoring our nation's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you, Pastor, for the prayer. Councilman Faircloth, thank you so much. And the Police Explorers, thank you for the job tonight with the flags. A roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Faircloth.
Here.
Councilman Burgess.
Here.
Councilman Maldonado.
Here.
Vice Mayor Shelley.
Here.
Mayor Porter.
Here. I know Ms. Waldman was in a deposition earlier today and was unable to get down. It's a case against the city, and I know Mr. Williams called in a little early. He had a conflict, was not able to make it, so we'll miss them tonight. But the next item is tab 3, or item 3, which is public comments. Anyone that would like to speak publicly, you're welcome to step to the microphone now. Just give us your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the Council. My name is Alden Edwards. I am a member of the Homestead Mayor's Youth Council. I'd like to start off by thanking you for approving the Lancelot Jones Day resolution at the last meeting. Thanks to Vice Mayor Shelley, we have been asked to write letters of support to our state representatives for the passage of the Lancelot Jones Day bill. I'd like to read my letter for the record. Vice Mayor Shelley, the most treasured attraction in South Florida is our perfect weather and our pristine waters. Millions of dollars is generated each year through tourism, weather fishing, scuba diving, boating, or just relaxing on our sandy beaches. Miami businesses benefit from these visitors, which in turn generate jobs in our community. Imagine what our oceans and bay views would look like if Lancelot Jones and his family had sold out to developers and investors. High-rises, shopping centers, and beaches front homes blocked our sunrises and sunsets. Natural beauty and tranquility destroyed in an effort to profit with no concern over preservation for future generations. Lancelot Jones recognized the beauty and understood the disaster developing these islands in Biscayne Bay would have been. His character and willingness to do what's right superseded any dreams of becoming a millionaire. Selling his 277 acres to the National Park Service generated future generations could enjoy the wonder that is Biscayne National Park. The passage of the Lancelot Jones Day Bill will continue a legacy that has not only educated millions, but contributed to Florida's economy. Let us honor a man that with no education had the foresight to make a decision that positively impact generations. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. No, I want to say I'm very appreciative of you coming up and reading your letter for the record and all the efforts the Mayor's Youth Council is making on behalf of this issue and fighting this fight to try to get this passed at the state level. And, you know, I think it's critical for our state representatives to hear letters like that, the passion. You can hear your interest and and how it made a personal connection with you. And so again, thank you, and thank you for Councilwoman Fairclough for helping lead this charge. And this is the part that I love the most, is the teaching experience that these kids are getting. And so this is really great for me, and thank you again for showing up tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor and Vice Mayor and council members. To take a couple minutes while I'm here today.
Just put your name and address on for the record, please.
My name is Jay Rivchin, R-I-V-C-H-I-N. My address is 16501 South Dixie Highway, Miami, Florida, 33157. So I'm here today to take a couple minutes and ask a possibility of putting my request on your agenda for the next meeting. There was an offer proposal was made back in December 3rd on a bowling alley property. Is located 111 South Homestead Boulevard. And our proposal was really not to make an offer to putting a new car franchise, a dealership in that bowling alley property. And it is one of the major top new car franchise dealership for service, sales, and parts department. And the benefit to the city will be tremendous, and I have just a couple of footnotes. I want to bring it up to everybody's attention. And again, all I'm asking for is for council members and vice mayor and mayor to consider for the next meeting and put it on the agenda to consider the offer that we have made on this to the city. So the benefit to the city will be a payoff of past loan from the CRA, which I know there's a loan, there's a payoff in it, and improve the visibility appearance on a US 1 Homestead, and put the property back on a tax roll, and put the property back under the local utilities. Remove the needs of taxpayer, pay police surveillance, which you're paying quite a bit right now to cover the security for the property. Eliminate the homeless living in the building. Remove the property from the city books. And it's important for what I be doing as a business owner with my partner, Greg Traverini, he's here also, that we'll be adding a large workforce to the community, adding approximately 50 to 70 jobs from the beginning, and a high-tech job, well-paid job. Employee wage will be up to about $150,000 a year. Estimated utility and taxes will be over $100,000 a year we pay to the city. And not only they're buying the piece of property and doing the demolition and doing the construction, The construction is estimated somewhere $3.5 to $4 million, top of the property. So again, council members and mayor and vice mayor, I'm here for a reason tonight to ask to consider to put us on agenda, and then we can look at the offers and we can take it from there and get an answer.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Maldonado?
Thank you, Mayor. Through the mayor to the manager, I know that we received this email, I would say about a good month ago. I'm going to assume it was pretty detailed and it was an offer. I had spoke to someone from Todd, I forgot his last name right now, but approached me and was asking me, and there was an offer on the table, and I said, listen, the best thing to do is, submit an email with some information to the council, and let's see where we go with this. I know that we had discussions, months ago in regards to the future of the bowling alley, and so, this discussion was with an offer. And so I guess my question is, I know, have you received the email? Has your team, staff gone over it, consider it, and at some point as well as the council, because, we can't talk about it till we get up here. So the question is, does anyone have any thoughts or have any discussions on this item? I was going to bring it up during my items at the end of the meeting, but they're here, and this is coming up before us now.
Sure. Yes, we received the proposal. Staff has looked at it. We met with a representative from this organization, and what we told them was that the standing direction that we have from the council is that this site is designated for bowling alley. So we've had a few rounds of bowling. We haven't really gone the next step. As you all know, we've been so busy with the other projects that we've kind of let this one sit for a bit. We explained to them that this hasn't been a high priority for us as staff because of the other projects that we're dealing with, and as you'll see tonight with MCM being on the agenda, we have kind of got that whole police station project in record time just to get it to you so we could start construction by April, May. So the staff has really been working overtime on these issues. So if in fact this is another project the council wants us to consider, we'll do what you ask, but in terms of priorities right now, we have a lot on our plate. I explained this to them, but I also encouraged them to meet with each of you because I forwarded their proposal to each of you, and I mentioned to them that if I get a request to put this on an agenda, then I'd be happy to do it, but also that if they're going to request that it be put on the agenda, if they don't get a sense that there's strong support for this, to not have us go down that lazy river again, which occupies a tremendous amount of staff time. And then also, so that's pretty much where it stands. I have not received one phone call asking me to put it on the agenda. So I think that's probably why they're here tonight, because after they were charged with that task and they couldn't come up with one phone call, they probably figure they'll get it on the agenda on themselves, which is, I think, what they've done tonight. And so it's really a policy question on your part at this point. The other thing I mentioned to them is right now property values are roughly half of what they were 5 years ago. So in terms of us being in a hurry to sell property, from a financial perspective, that might not be the best thing financially. On the other hand, if as a policy matter you feel having a car dealership on that property is something that you all want, then we'll follow your direction.
Anything else? No. Mr. Manager, let me ask a question. The RFPs that were sent out before with that property in mind were very specific to a need or a desire. Let's call it a desire of the council. So if in fact there was a desire to sell that property, which doesn't appear that there is, based on your conversation that there was no response, what about the RFP? Wouldn't we need to put out an RFP that would say for sale at highest and best use, irregardless of what went there? Wouldn't that be the appropriate way to go about this?
What we had anticipated doing, absent any different direction from the council, is once we kind of catch our breaths with some of the other things, to bring back the property issue to you to decide, Do you want to do another RFP? What's your decision on, do you still want to try with bowling? Do you still want to try with family entertainment? And if not, is your priority to sell the property now or to sit on it for a while as values go up? So we have this property plus obviously the old City Hall property that we're kind of queued up for discussions with you downstream. Again, until right now, as you figure out where's the money. The money right now is getting the construction shovels in the ground before construction costs go up to the point where we can't afford to do the project. So we've been really focused on just working the architects and the engineers and the procurement people to get these projects one after the other to you. So we have spent very little time even thinking about anything beyond the major projects at this point. But it's clearly, if your decision is you want to sell the property for the highest price, then we would recommend an RFP or some sort of a marketing plan.
Okay, Ms. Faircloth, then the Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I did receive the email also, and I had an opportunity to speak to the representatives for the potential prospective car dealership. And I agree that we're kind of knee-deep into a lot of projects, and I really didn't move forward on it because we're just overwhelmed with so much, and to add something else to the plate would be a bit inundating. I know for myself, I can imagine staff, but we do have to position ourselves as being business-friendly, and we don't want to deter any possible business entities to coming to our community. We're not benefiting from what we have now with the property just sitting there. So I think at some point we really need to have a discussion about how we're going to move forward with that property, possibly after we kind of get these projects rolling. But we can't just keep having that property just sit on the shelf and cause us just more money being poured into it. So I think we kind of need to move forward, not box ourselves in with just bowling anymore, but kind of think outside of the box on what we want on that property. So I do think that we need to move forward and have a discussion with it once we begin to breathe again from after all these projects we're working on.
Okay, Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. You know, I was happy to see that we got a decent offer. I mean, $2.1 million is probably the best offer we've gotten so far to date, but it's still less than our last appraised value, which I think was $2.5 million. So it's still not up to appraised value. It's still not necessarily the best offer maybe we're going to receive into the future. And so, in that respect, I commend you for giving us a better offer than we've seen to date. You know, product-wise, I think that's the big debate that we need to have as a council, and that's what Councilwoman Faircloth was also discussing, that we need to sit down, and I agree, at some point in time in the future, when staff has a chance to catch their breath, when you guys have a chance to get our major projects that are our capstone projects here in the city under wraps, or at least well underway, then at that time would be a great time to discuss how do we want to now add another capstone type project to what we're already creating in the downtown as an entryway feature. And so that's something that I think we need to discuss as policymakers, before we just look at the offer. But again, I commend you for making at least a good offer. It's still not really sufficient, and I think that we can get better monies for that property and a better use for that property.
All right, Vice Mayor, thank you. Mr. Maldonado?
Yes. Thank you. Through the mayor to the manager, in your timeline, do we have a plan to evaluate our properties that we have available? I know that we had this discussion months ago. You did forewarn us and asked us to please let you, do and deal with all these projects that you've done, and look where we are. You've done it in record time, so I commend you for that. I guess just, I walk in your office and I always see the timeline. So in your timeline, are there plans to evaluate the properties that we have in order to try to, like I said, we don't want to keep them on the shelf, but we want to keep them ahead of us. Sure. Maybe if you give us an ETA, not today, but at some point where we can start looking at these properties and say what's going to be the best use for that. I think, we're the final frontier in Miami-Dade County. All eyes are on us, and we're going to have businesses and corporations that want to come and they want to, stake their companies here. And so I'd like to be in position in order to do that. So please let us know when you're ready.
Sure. And I'll just give you an example. Right now, one of our assistant city managers and our public works director are not here because they're down at the architects, because the fire department gave us additional tasks we need for the temporary police station project, and they're down there now because we're trying to avoid any further delays. And so each one of these projects has a lot of layers underneath. In the meantime, we had the team of architects working to draw the plans for the new police station so that we could get this done tonight and also start the process to get them in the ground. And so then we're talking about the parking garage, and we have architects working on that. We have the Las Vegas trip where we're trying to attract retailers. We have the Seminole Theater, which we met today to select the seating fabrics and the wall treatments and the floor treatments so that we can have one more week before the contractors submit their bids, and so we can start that project. So each of these things have very tight timelines. So what we're really doing at this point is we're playing triage and on your top priorities, and then once we clear the field a little bit, I'll come back to you with both this and also the old City Hall, because obviously part of our funding for the new City Hall was that loan we took that we had planned to pay off through the sale of that property as well. So we're it's in the queue, and at some point...
You seem very busy. Just a little.
I'm not complaining. I'm just saying we're happy to have all these projects to do. It's just for the amount of staff that we have, we're trying, thankfully we're 2 months ahead of schedule with the City Hall project, but even at that requires a tremendous amount of focus so that we don't drop the ball on that either. People see the contractor out there working, but that only happens with tremendous support staff to ensure that things get done the right way. And so far, we haven't had any major problems on any of these projects, but, we don't want to take our eye off the ball at this point until at least we have a light at the end of the tunnel.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Mayor, thank you.
Let's all remember, too, that if we hadn't been able to get the baseball stadium back from a potential sale, we would have had to spend upwards of $8 million for a temporary facility. Had we not been able to get the CRA lots back from a sale, we wouldn't have a location to put the new police station. So in our zeal to sell assets, maybe we need to take a step back and say, let's make sure that we can take care of our own business first before we sell something for $1 million and have to go buy something to replace it for $5 million. Those are two examples that had we not gotten those back, we would be in a worse position today. So does that apply to the bowling alley site? I don't know. But we need to, tread a little lightly as we move forward, because our city's at 65,000 and headed up. So when you're doing that calculation and your staff is, let's prepare for the unknown as well. So we're not going to do anything tonight as far as putting it on the agenda. The manager has been tasked. He's got a heavy load. Individually, you speak to the council members and see what the feel is, and then let them know up or down one way or the other so that they can open their book or close their book. But it's a touchy thing right now. I don't really know that there's a lot of effort to want to sell right now. It doesn't appear to be. But
Thank you, Mayor. We just, again, I thought I was coming here to just put it on the agenda on the table. But yeah, we would like to know whether is it or is it not, because in business world,
Right.
retail business world, we got to keep moving. And I appreciate the comment you made, Vice Mayor, but just keep in mind the amount of money and taxes will be generated being there for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. My current business new car dealership that I have down here, a little bit north of here, we've been in business for the past 50 years. So we have generated a lot of taxes, a lot of source of other income that the city can really benefit out of.
we'll give you some closure on this. Ms. Fairclough? Did you?
Yes, I'd just like to say, absent of the facts, all the facts, I can't make an educated decision either way. So I don't want to appear that I'm against it. I'm not against anything until I get all of the facts and the details. So I just wanted to kind of put that on the record.
Okay, Mr. Manager, you'll dig out as much as you can and get it back to the individual. And then if you get You get a request to put it on the agenda, put it on the agenda, and let's see where the votes are.
Sure.
Absent a lot of effort going into it, so. Okay, any other comments? Thank you, sir. They'll be in touch with you right away.
Thank you,
Thank
Mayor.
you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Hi, my name is Dr. James Eric McDonough. I live at 32320 Southwest 199th Avenue. I'd like to thank you, Honorable Mayor Porter and Council, for the opportunity to speak here tonight. After the last meeting, I went and obtained copies of the meeting's rules and procedures. However, they're silent on the issues I would like to raise. It is hoped that the Honorable Mayor and Council or City Manager can clear up this confusion for all parties so the dignity of these meetings and the people involved may be preserved. Being a neophyte speaking at these type of meetings, it appears that I may have inadvertently violated some unwritten rules of respect and decorum at last month's meeting. As I and others are now confused about these policies, a few questions for clarification must be humbly and respectfully submitted for the good of all speakers and the audience. Honorable Mayor Porter, is it the position of the city that citizens are not to publicly name an official or police officer while criticizing them or while making allegations of criminal activity in the public comment section of this meeting?
Go ahead.
I was asking a question. Well, last time I was stopped from speaking and for criticizing someone, and I was wondering if that's the policies that people are supposed to follow.
You took a very personal shot at the chief of police, who is an employee of the city manager, and the city manager intervened on the police chief's behalf, because there's ways to get things done, and then there's ways to just try to embarrass and humiliate, and embarrassing and humiliate is not a decorum that we would like to practice at this particular dais. My job is to set the decorum. His job is to protect his employees, and both of us feel like the decorum is inappropriate, what you were about to do last time. And if you're going to do it again, it will still be inappropriate. So if you have something to say that can be respectfully stated, and let's see if we can get to the bottom of the problem. Just go ahead and say what you said.
Well, I'm just really confused. So is it the policy of the city and the council that citizens are not in the public comment section to get up and publicly name and criticize officials or police?
It's the decorum of this body, of my direction, of this body, that we were not going to go in the direction that you were headed. And the manager intervened on the behalf of his employee, the chief of police. If you want to say something and be respectful, I want to respect you, you want me to respect you. I mean, we want to have mutual respect for one another. And I want you to do the same with the staff. If you have something to say and you want to say, Chief, please do something better, say it appropriately. But don't go and slander from the podium.
Excuse me, your Honorable Mayor,
Yes.
I did not commit slander, and it wasn't a personal attack. I was just advising you of information that's public knowledge and has been published in the Miami Herald. You are aware that they're under investigation for official misconduct, correct?
And it's an investigation. Are you going to say that they're guilty from
No, I'm not going to say that they're guilty because they have a right to court. We all have a right to be innocent till we're found guilty. I'm just curious because...
Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
So I guess my other question is, it's okay to name a public official or police officer if you're praising them, but it's not okay to do it if you're criticizing them? Is that the position?
I would like for you to just say what you have to say, please, because I am trying to run this decorum in a proper way where you cannot come up and make bad accusations or possibly inaccurate accusations against the staff or the council members.
I didn't make any accusations. I simply said that you're aware that he's under investigation. That's a factual statement. It's public knowledge. That was not a slander.
Okay, you're going to go ahead and say what you have to say. I'm not going to continue to debate you. Please, just say what you have to say.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we're clear that it is the city policy not to criticize public officials. Is this the position of the entire council?
Just say what you have to say, please. We're trying to get through this. Your time's up, but say what you have to say.
No, that's all. I was just really curious because it seems that, you thanked the manager last time for stopping me from speaking, and I'll have you know that doing such is a prior restraint which Nebraska v. Press Association versus Stewart, the Supreme Court ruled is the most serious and least horrible intrusion onto the First Amendment. So I was really just kind of curious if you and the council or the mayor are going to continue to violate my constitutional rights under the First Amendment of the United States Constitution.
That's your opinion of what's happening.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank
you have a
you.
great day.
Any other public comments? Yes, sir. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
Evening, gentlemen, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and the board. My name is Matthew Oakey, been a resident of Homestead since 2000. At last meeting, I posed a question. I was wondering if there was an answer to that.
What was the question? Were you here, James?
No. No, the other city attorney was here.
I was here, if I recall. The question dealt with a pocket knife, correct?
Correct.
Yes, we looked into it, and
Can
we
you
don't
state
need
the
to,
statute that you're following?
we don't, excuse me, sir, I have the floor. We don't need to change our policy at this juncture. Reviewed the state statutory provision, which is Florida Statute 790.06, which deals with concealed weapons permit. So the procedure that the city's following is correct, and so you don't need to change it.
Concealed weapons permit statute does not cover a common pocket knife. The common pocket knife, as stipulated in 790.01, is expressly excluded from concealed weapons or any weapon definition. Now, if the city wants to make an ordinance excluding pocket knives from being able to come in a city meeting like this, then please follow proper procedure to make it an ordinance.
Do you want me to comment?
You don't have the power to make a law by the stroke of a whim by leaning over and whispering to Homestead police, hey, don't let anybody bring a pocket knife in here because we don't want that. You can't do that.
Go ahead, Jim.
Mayor, the statute's clear. Concealed weapon
Do you want me to read the statute? Because you won't?
is defined to include a knife under 7090.6, so
No, 790 concealed weapon concerns a solid blade knife like used in hunting, not a foldable common pocket knife.
Okay,
Now, do you want to be brought up on charges of false lawyerhood by giving false statements, by not telling what why don't you read the statute if you have it right in front of you?
are you comfortable with your position, Jim?
I'm comfortable, Mayor.
Okay, he's comfortable with the position. He's our legal staff. We lean on him to give us proper advice. I don't think anybody in the council chambers wants to be cut or shot or stabbed. So,
Well, I'm sure that nobody in the audience wants that to happen either.
that's what I was just saying, so. If we're on solid legal ground and we don't need an ordinance, then we'll just go with what we've got. Unless someone wants to draft or request an ordinance be written, we're good, right? Okay.
Would you like me to read the statute, sir?
You still have time on your...
790.01, except as provided in subsection 4, a person who carries a concealed weapon or electronic weapon or device on about his person commits a misdemeanor first degree. Person who carries a concealed firearm on or about his person commits a felony of third degree. This section does not apply to a person licensed to carry a concealed weapon or concealed firearm. It is not a violation of this section for a person to carry, for purposes of lawful self-defense in a concealed manner, a self-defense chemical spray, a non-lethal stun gun or dart-firing stun gun, or other non-lethal weapon device that is designed solely for defensive purposes. This section does not preclude any prosecution for the use of electric weapons, dart-firing stun gun, or the other ones I just mentioned. That's 01. The next section says what the definitions are. Antique firearm, we're not concerned about that. Clause 2, concealed firearm means any firearm is defined in subsection 6, which is carried on or about the person. A concealed weapon means any dirk, A dirk is a solid, non-foldable blade. Metallic knuckles, slug shot, billy, tear gas gun, chemical weapon or device, other deadly weapons. I got a phone call coming in. Or other deadly weapon carried on or about a person in such a manner as to conceal the weapon from the ordinary sight of a person. Then it goes on about tear gas and chemical weapons, destructive devices, bombs, grenades, mines, rockets. We can all agree that that's probably not good to have in the meeting.
No.
It goes on to great detail to say about what that is. A device which is not designed, redesigned, used, or intended to be used as a weapon. Any device, though originally designed as a weapon, or redesigned so that it is solely as a signaling, line-throwing, safety, or similar device. Any shotgun, any non-automatic rifle, explosive means, shotgun shells, fireworks, smokeless propellant powder, black powder. The exclusions contained in these paragraphs do not apply to the term explosive. Firearm, the clause and statute that your city attorney is advising you on. Firearm means any weapon, including a starter gun, which is designed to or may readily be converted to expel a projectile, the action of the explosive. The term firearm does not include an antique firearm unless the antique firearm is used in the commission of a crime. Indictment, it's defining these terms. Indictment, law enforcement, all officers and employees, members of the armed forces, the employees of the state, all peace officers. Okay, then it goes on to machine gun, short-barreled shotgun, short-barreled rifle, slug shot. Number 13 says, weapon means any dirk, metallic knuckles, slug shot, billy, tear gas gun, chemical weapon or device, or other deadly weapon except a firearm or a common pocket knife, plastic knife, or blunt-bladed table knife. The common pocket knife is clearly excluded from the terminology of weapon in 790, sir.
Okay, we've taken a position of our legal advisor. We're on solid ground. If you have a problem, I guess you're going to have to take it up with our attorneys. We have a team of attorneys.
No, I don't take it up with your attorneys. As a citizen of the Americas, I will take it up with the legal system.
Fine.
And I sue the city of Homestead for breach of 790.
That's fine.
Well, do you understand what that means, sir?
That's fine.
That means
I
you
went to the-
agreeing
I
to
went to
that.
the races
The
and I had-
lawsuit goes against your personal assets that have nothing to do with the bond or the city.
Okay, that's fine. You do what you need to do.
Thank you, sir.
Any other public comments? Okay, I'll close the public hearing at this time. Vice Mayor? Mr. Burgess, did you say something?
Thank you. No, I just wanted to thank a gentleman that's here tonight, Mr. Frank Bowsbury, for all his help that he does whenever I reach out to him down there at the county mayor's level, and he's got the interest of the Homestead at his heart, and I just wanted to thank him. He doesn't generally stay to the end where my comments are heard, so I wanted to make sure I got that out tonight. Frank, thank you for all your help whenever we call you. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank, very much. Thank you, Mr. Burgess. Close the public hearing at this time. I'd like to say one thing real quick, a couple things. We had a somewhat historic event happen on the 7th of February. Mr. Burgess, Councilman Burgess, was sworn in as the incoming president of the Miami-Dade League of Cities. He represents all the Miami-Dade cities as the president. Never happened before in Homestead's history, if I'm correct, Mr. Burgess. So we're very, very proud and honored to have that kind of a prestigious position bestowed upon Homestead through Councilman Burgess, and I think that we should pat him on the back and really be pleased with what he's been able to accomplish in a very short period of time. Mr. Burgess, I just want to tell you congratulations and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. I am very honored, and as I said the night of my speech, honored and humbled, because 7 years ago, who'd ever thought that I would be leading such a prestigious organization and doing the work that we do down there. So thank you to my colleagues for being there and attending that night, and thank you to everybody for their support as I take this new adventure on and move forward and hopefully continue the great things that the league does for all the citizens and the counties here, and the municipalities here in the county of Miami-Dade. So thank you. for recognizing that. And
Thank you, sir.
again.
Thank you. You deserve the recognition. Awesome. Next, before we go into the agenda, something very significant has been going on with Miami-Dade Community College and the contracting group for the current City Hall, MCM. And I want them to come up and give us a little bit of a insight as to what they're doing. There's a very, very wonderful program. And
good evening. Harry Hoffman, Academic Dean, Miami-Dade College, 500 College Way, 33033. Good evening, Mayor Porter, members of the council, citizens of Homestead. I'm here this evening to share with you briefly a fantastic new partnership between the college and the city of Homestead. It deals directly with our 4-year degree in the Bachelor of Applied Science. And I have with me this evening to give you some more details the chairperson of our School of Business, Ms. Sarah Tusky. Sarah?
Miami-Dade College Homestead campus offers a baccalaureate in supervision and management. We are delighted to have partnered with the City of Homestead and MCM Construction to offer our students that are in their senior year an internship opportunity with a local employer. The internship process specifically for this opportunity was incredibly unique. We had members of the City Council as well as MCM executives and senior administration of the Homestead campus sit on a panel and interview students that applied for this opportunity. This was tremendous for all of the students that applied. They got the chance to go through a formal application process as well as sit through a, I'm going to say, pretty nerve-wracking interview. The mayor was very kind and sat on the panel. But I'm pleased to announce Ms. Glenda Sokola was awarded the internship opportunity. I am just very humbled. Thank you. I'm very humbled to be here, but I want to thank all of you for giving me this opportunity, and my school, of course, Miami-Dade College, for giving me, preparing me for this task that I'm about to pursue. And also, my husband is in the room. I want to thank you very much for your love and support. And he's back there, by the way. And I'm just grateful. Thank you.
One last note, we want to thank the mayor for his support and also Dr. Dean Jacobs, the campus president of Homestead Campus, for helping us put this together. Thank you so much.
Now somebody, this is a paid position. So explain it. It's not just an intern. You're actually going to be able to pay her for her time as well.
Absolutely. This is a paid internship opportunity. It lasts through the semester. The details and particulars, I'm going to invite my colleagues here with MCM to talk about it. But it gives the student the opportunity to work directly with the project manager on the construction of the new City Hall.
Mayor Porter and council persons. My name is Mike Roblin. I'm sure you all have met me once or twice, I think. I will be mentoring Ms. Sokola over the course of the rest of this semester and hopefully continuing on with MCM once she's earned her degree. We anticipate that there will be great opportunities for her to learn and grow as a student and as a person and as a resident of the city of Homestead. This opportunity will involve collaboration with our superintendents, our site subcontractors, of which many are local contractors in the city of Homestead. And so I look forward to this great opportunity to be the mentor to Ms. Sokola for this project and for her internship.
Thank you. Ms. Fairclough.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. This is very exciting, and as a community, we rely on these type of partnerships with businesses. You're providing a service to the city, but you're also in turn reinvesting into the city. And when you reinvest in education, that is a big deal for me and this council. So thank you, MCM, for this great partnership, Miami-Dade College Homestead Campus, and Mayor Porter for working collaboratively to bring this to fruition. And all the best to you, Mrs. Sokola. All the best to you, and we wish you well with MCM and Miami-Dade College.
Thank you very much.
Hopefully, this can be a reoccurring process that we can develop and give those students an opportunity to, in the field training. I think that's really, and the construction projects that we have coming up, you know, hopefully we have good contractors like MCM stay here at the table and work with us, and we can really give back to the community. There's a lot of good and there's a lot of need in this community. So I think that the college and Dr. Jacobs for spearheading this and getting this. And when we had the opportunity to do the interview, the first applicant set the bar so high. It was, as she left the room, it was like, I don't know how anybody's going to be able to beat that. And it ended up that the committee collectively felt like she was the most qualified of the candidates. And really, your background and your story is amazing, and it's exciting. And thank you for applying, and get everything you can out of those guys behind you.
Definitely I will.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike, Alexis, appreciate it very much. George, I know George is back there. George, thank you. You guys doing an awesome job over there, and you're bolting I don't know how you're putting the walls on, but the outside's is being put on. It really a gorgeous, gorgeous building. Thank you again very much for what you're doing for our community. Thank you. Mr. Any additions, deletions, defferals? Mr. Attorney?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. We have one deferral that's requested by the applicant for tab 9, which is the rezoning request. And the applicant has requested that the item be deferred for 30 days or until the next city council meeting. Staff has no objection. In order to preserve the notice, if I could just read the title, and then you all can decide.
Go right ahead.
Sure. Tab 9 is the ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, considering the rezoning of an approximately 1.37 acre parcel from the agricultural AU zoning district to the light industrial zoning district for property located on the northwest corner of Southwest 312th Street, Campbell Drive, and the eastern boundary line of the city as legally described in Exhibit A, and providing for an effective date. The time and date certain for deferral would be March 18th at 5:30 p.m.
So we need a motion to defer to March 18th at 5:30. It's moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Motion carries. Anything else, Mr. Attorney?
Not at this time, Mayor.
Tab 1 is a consent agenda. Is there a motion to move the consent agenda? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Tab 7, public hearing, ordinances, land use.
Yes, please be advised that the following items on the agenda are quasi-judicial in nature. If you wish to comment upon these items, please indicate the item number you would like to address when the announcement regarding the quasi-judicial item is made. An opportunity for persons to speak on each item will be made available after the applicant and staff have made their presentations on each item. Swearing in, all testimony, including public testimony and evidence, will be made under oath or affirmation. Additionally, each person who gives testimony may be subject to cross-examination. If you do not wish to either be cross-examined or sworn, your testimony will be given its due weight. The general public will not be permitted to cross-examine witnesses, but the public may request the council to ask questions of staff or witnesses on their behalf. Full agenda packet on each item is hereby entered into the record. Persons representing organizations must present evidence of their authority to speak for that organization, and further details of the quasi-judicial procedures may be obtained from the clerk. In accordance with Code Section 2-591, any lobbyist must register before addressing the council on any of the following items. At this time, council members must disclose any ex parte communications they've had concerning the tab 7, tab 8. Hearing none at this time, the clerk will swear in any persons who wish to testify on the quasi-judicial items.
Please stand, raise your right hand, and repeat after me. I, please state your name, hereby swear or affirm that the information I present shall be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God. Thank you. You may be seated.
First item for your consideration is tab 7. This is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting site plan approval for a 6,274 square foot commercial retail building on approximately 1.0 acre parcel located at the southeast corner of Northeast 18th Avenue and Southwest 312th Street, Campbell Drive, as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date.
Anything from staff? Any additional?
No, sir, we're recommending approval of this. I can go into detail if you'd like, if you're...
No, that's all right.
Gotcha.
Questions from council? Anyone have a question? One question, Joe, if I could. The back of the building faces onto Kingman, and I know the front of the building faces into the parking lot. It looked like it was adequate landscaping and beautification on what would be the west side of the building. Are you comfortable with that?
Yes, sir, we passed all the landscape code requirements.
Okay. Anything else from council? This is a public hearing. Anyone like to speak for or against this? You're welcome to come forward and name and address for the record, please.
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the City Council, my name is Roger Stricola, 265 Kenilworth Avenue, Ormond Beach. I'm the engineer of record for the applicant, and I have authority to speak on behalf of the applicant. We have gone through the site plan review process with your staff and your consultant, and we concur with staff's recommendation for approval. Thank you.
All right. Anything else from the public? I'll close the public hearing. This time, is there a motion from council?
Move it.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Any final comments? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you. Tab 8.
Yes, tab 8 is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting final plat approval of a 26-unit residential single-family subdivision for tropical villas located south of the C-103 Canal, east of Southwest 162nd Avenue, west of the Homestead extension of the Florida Turnpike, and north of Southwest 320th Street, as legally described in Exhibit A, consisting of approximately 6.46 acres and providing for an effective date.
Anything from staff, Mr. Cordino?
Recommend approval.
Recommend approval. Any questions from council? Any questions from council? Okay, this is a public hearing. Anyone would like to speak for or against this application, you're welcome to come forward. Not you, sir. Oh, I'm sorry.
Hugo Arza, address 701 Brickell Avenue. I'm just here to answer any questions on behalf of the applicant.
Okay, Mr. Burgess?
Thank you. To Mr. Cordino, if I could, through the mayor. I believe we had a stipulation about the sidewalks and all the stuff that we had asked for out there. Has all that's been added in, and then we're good on all that stuff?
Yeah, so everything they need to do is they're taken care of. So
Okay.
This is just a platting process, so
Right,
nothing,
I just wanted
nothing
to
with
make
the site plan. They haven't deviated from that at all.
Make sure we're all good on where we're going there. No problems. Thank you. That's all.
All right. Any other questions from council? Anything from Mr. Arza?
No, sir. Thank you.
I'll close the public hearing at this time. Any final comments from council? Is there a motion?
Move it.
Moved and seconded. Any final comments? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Tab 10.
Thank you.
Tab 10, Mr. Manager.
Yes, tab 10 is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving the award of a construction manager at-risk contract to construct the new police station to Manila Construction Management pursuant to RFP 2015-01, authorizing the city manager to execute the contract and issue a notice to proceed for the pre-construction services phase, authorizing the city manager under a price ceiling condition to execute a guaranteed maximum price amendment for the construction phase and issue a notice to proceed thereof, and providing for an effective date.
Mr. Manager.
Mayor, staff recommends the mayor and council approve the attached resolution authorizing the city manager to execute the award of RFP number 201501 for the new police station project and grant the manager the authority to negotiate and execute a guaranteed maximum price amendment to the contract for amount not to exceed $13,500,000.
Questions from council? Can you just briefly explain the guaranteed
Sure.
price?
We have, Terry, do you want to start us off with that?
Sure, I'd be happy to. I'm Terry McKinley, I work with Lace Schroeder, and I had the privilege of working with the city staff and architects and consultants in shepherding this procurement process through. And I had a great time working with them, and they need to be commended on the procedure that has been implemented. The construction manager at-risk form of project delivery is kind of a hybrid sort of delivery process that takes into consideration the advantages of two different kinds of processes, one being a construction management process and the other being a construction contractor process. The contract itself, as a CM at risk, involves two different parts. Well, the first part is the pre-construction phase, where the contractor will work collaboratively with the city and the architects to develop a design and construction process that is the most efficient way to do things. Constructability issues get looked at, value engineering issues get looked at, and because of this collaborative process, you have a better chance of getting the exact criteria of construction of the building that you want for the most reasonable price. At the end of that design collaboration process, the architects will have completed all of the construction drawings. At that point in time, you get into the second phase of the CM at risk contract, which is construction. And at that point in time, there's such a thing called a guaranteed price, maximum price amendment that is made to the contract, wherein the construction contractor, having participated in the design process and the value engineering process and constructability reviews, and having been doing construction estimates all through this construction or through the design process, is able to develop a price proposal which is a guaranteed maximum price. During the construction phase, the contractor will be paid the actual construction cost. So in that sense, it's not a lump sum price. I mean, under a lump sum scenario, if he builds the whole thing exactly like he's supposed to, you pay him that price. In a GMP, or guaranteed maximum price process, he builds the building as drawn and specified, and the city pays him the actual cost of construction up to a guaranteed maximum price. So if the contractor is able to bring the project in under that, then there's provisions in the contract for the sharing of the savings differential. But under no circumstances would the city pay above that guaranteed maximum price. So that's good enough. That's kind of in a nutshell the way that process works. If you have any other questions.
Yes, Mayor, a couple other things to clarify that the City Hall was handled a little differently because it was drawn back in 2009. During that process, we had 100% construction drawings. So in essence, what we did is said, okay, here's the drawings, give us your best price, and that's ultimately how a contractor was selected. In this case, because everybody's worried that the longer we wait, the harder it's going to be to build this thing within our existing budget, the idea was to push the architects to start drawing, start the process of the selection process, get them to at least pre-select, and then at some point, I think it's 60 days, they have 60 days to come back with the price, roughly 60 days. They're going to come back and tell us they can or they can't. So there's one possibility here is they come back and they say they can't do it for this, in which case then we'll have to look at our options. Not much will be lost in that the work will be continuing with the drawings. We'll be 60 days further ahead of the process. The hope is that between the contractors and the technical staff, we can get this thing to a point where everybody's comfortable that they can do this thing for the budget. And also, we had a conversation with them yesterday, wanted to make sure they understood that what's been already the conceptual drawing and what we currently have on the table is what we're building. We're not going to value engineer this thing from what you saw to a shed. And so they understand that, and the value engineering hopefully will get us more efficiencies, but this is a major step in the right direction, and I guess the final decision will be made in terms of whether they can or can't. Jerry, do we have a specific date?
Sorry. We're looking to give the notice of proceed by the 25th of February. At that point, we have an estimate of approximately 2 months for them to come back with the GMP. And at that point, sometime in mid-April, we finalize that GMP, and in May, execute the GMP.
Okay, so in essence, if everything goes well, we don't come back to you, and we'll see you at the groundbreaking. If there's any issues prior to that, we'll come back to you and see if we can figure out what to do next. Keep your fingers crossed.
Mr. Mayor, I might add that having the staff having selected this delivery method to use for the construction probably saves somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 to 6 months in elapsed time between when we started and when the construction will be completed.
No, I think it's a great process. It's a little outside of what the norm is, though. But normally, you have a set of plans, and you find out what those plans cost to build. In this case, we have a pot of money and a design, an idea, and we've got to build to that pot of money. So it makes sense to go this route under the circumstances. So I appreciate the information. So it's very, very helpful. Any comments from council? This is a public hearing. I will open the public hearing at this time. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments? Is there a motion?
Move it.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you, MCM. Business from the city manager? Anything, Mr. Manager? City attorney, anything from the attorney?
Yes, Mayor, really quick. I have 3 executive sessions that I need to request. The first is case number 12-221-79. This is the Johanna Fadas v. City of Homestead. This is the U.S. Federal District Court case. And also case number 11-27981-CA25. Fadas versus the City of Homestead. This is the circuit court case that's in the 11th Judicial Circuit. And finally, a executive session request for United States of America versus City of Homestead, Florida, and Alger, case number 11-090AP. This is in the 11th Circuit Court for Miami-Dade County. Thank you.
All right, sir. Reports from Mayor and Council. Ms. Fairclough.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'd like to start out by thanking a Boy Scout troop back there for sitting through one of our meetings. From history teaches me that I guess this is a part of one of your assignments, that you kind of have to sit into one of these meetings. I hope you learned a lot from this meeting. Thank you for being here. I'd also like to congratulate my colleague again, Councilman Burgess, for being named as the president of the Miami-Dade League of Cities. I was honored to be there to share in that momentous occasion with you, and you're going to do a great job for the league and continue to do a great job for the city. So my hat's off to you. I'd like to announce that on Sunday, February 22nd at 3 p.m., the Mayor's Youth Council, the City of Homestead's Education Committee, in collaboration with the Homestead Florida City Community Relations Board, we will be hosting a screening for the movie Selma. This is a movie that kind of takes our community through what the plight of the African Americans as it related to voting and the passage of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. It's very important that we expose our students to multiple representations of information. They learn a lot in textbooks, so they're going to learn a lot on the screen on Sunday. And then after that movie screening, we're going to travel to the FICO Williams Community Center to have a follow-up discussion about their takeaways from the movie, and they're going to digest that as they digest a good soul food dinner. So we are hosting this for 200 of our residents, first come, first served. If you're interested in joining us on Sunday to view Selma, please email me at pfaircloth@cityofhomestead.com, and we'd be happy to have you on Sunday. Also, I'd like to just announce that more information will be coming later. In late March, early April, I will be partnering with Career Source South Florida and Youth Co-op to host a job fair for 18 to 24-year-old residents of the City of Homestead. We're looking for about 50 businesses to hire the students. They won't go on your payroll. They will be paid from another entity, but we would like for businesses in the local community to open their doors to hire these 18 to 24-year-olds, and I will be putting out more information on that as it becomes readily available. I have nothing further. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Faircloth. Mr. Burgess.
Thank you, Mayor. Once again, I wanted to thank my colleagues and the manager and whoever else in the staff that was able to attend my swearing in the other night as I take on the duties of President of the League of Cities. Thank you for giving up a Saturday night to come out and share in my festivities, so thank you to all of you. The mayor and I were in Tallahassee several weeks ago. I think we made some great progress on several different issues for the city, as far as water goes and some trails and parks that I was hoping to share with Councilwoman Waldman, who's not here tonight, but I think we made some great progress. And instead of being reactive, we were up there trying to be proactive for the city of Homestead and trying to get ahead of the curve where sometimes we have fallen behind. So thank you to the mayor for traveling up there with me and fighting the good fight that we've have started to put forward. Just one thing, if I could ask, I know that Councilman Shelley is the chair of the charter review, but I think it's time that we as a city have a serious discussion and start a charter review process. I've got some things that I know that citizens have asked me about and some ideas that I've gotten, and it's been a while since we've had a meaningful charter review, and so I would just like to maybe kick that ball rolling a little bit to see if we could get something going, and so that we're not rushed. I know a couple times the process has been, and it's always been a last-minute thing. Here we are in the middle of February, and it would probably be a November vote for any changes, but I think that we've got a long time that we could work and work through this process and not be rushed and make some meaningful changes. As the city has changed a lot, even since I've sat up here for the last 7 years, we've gone from 40,000 to 65,000 people, and I think there's a lot of things that we need to look at here, and so I would just make that suggestion that perhaps we can get that ball rolling sooner than later. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burgess. Mr. Maldonado.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank the city manager that responded to a complaint from my community and from Malibu Bay in regards to some issues that we had with waste management the other day on President's Day. I believe it was Monday. And I say I brought some board members from my community that wanted to meet with the city manager, and we met with the assistant city manager, Rick. And we discussed the issues that we were having. Rick, we've had this discussion in the past, just recently up here in the council, and so he took his notes and was going to go to the drawing table to figure out what's going on and see what type of resolve that we could get in regards to this. Not even a couple days later, one of these board members that was active, along with one of the property managers that they were doing their due diligence and overseeing things in the community, just happened to see an issue that happened, and I think everyone received the email. I'm at this point upset. There's been many times that I've brought this up to HR here at this meeting, in regards to what is our policy in regards to our employees driving and talking at the same time, and especially the large vehicles. I have a real big issue with that, just because the fact that we've seen it on the news and on the internet, and there's in recent cases where we have these large vehicles that are being operated, and we have people that are working on the phone, either texting or talking, and it causes a serious accident, which at the end of the day costs us, the taxpayers of Homestead, to foot the bill for someone that's not doing the job properly. I really don't want to see that happen. I have an issue when I'm driving through the city, and I drive through the city at all times because I work here, not just live here. I work in the city, and when I'm driving and I look at these vehicles, the first thing I do, believe it or not, and I don't say anything, but I drive next to them to see if they're on the phone, and especially these big vehicles. I want to mention one difference that I do see. And one difference is that I do see our big vehicles have to do with the utilities, with the power utilities, and then the other set of big vehicles would be our waste management. I'll tell you the difference there. I have not yet found one time with the utilities folks on the phone. But on the waste management, every time that I've seen someone on the phone and that I have complained about it, I call the city manager and I call HR, I take pictures of the truck that's doing it, and I send them the information. and it's always the waste management folks. Well, going back to the story of for the record, what happened in Malibu Bay, this person was on the phone dumping trash or picking up trash and with apparently on the phone. And he was being followed by a board member and the property manager. So this just wasn't some neighbor that had nothing else to do. They were actually working and making sure our community was taken care of. And our community we care about our community. We take pride in making sure it looks well, and that we meet the needs of this community. And to see this person, driving in there, and I sent pictures. Basically, you saw them. The garbage cans were knocked down, and there was trash all over the place. It's unacceptable. So, like I said, I guess my question to HR, one more time, I'll ask, what is our policy in regards to our employees driving and talking on the phone while on work time, or operating the vehicles specifically?
Do you want them to answer, Mr. Manager?
Sure. Go ahead, Vivian.
Yeah, okay. Good evening. Councilman Maldonado, I know we've sent out emails in the past. We do have our policy where employees are not supposed to be on the cell phones while they're driving, whether the large vehicles or any other vehicle. We do have to send out reminders periodically, and we're going to be sending another one out again with some other reminders that we have to every once in a while bring up again. But we rely on the people telling us whenever they see someone. I'm the same way. If I will get up next to a vehicle and I will, say something to the employee if I see them on the phone. But that's really our only way of finding out. The supervisors and the managers need to be reminding employees also at the meetings. And that's the only way we really know when people call us and let us know that they've just seen someone on the phone.
And for the record, I do this with any large vehicle. If there's a business and it has, calls my driving and I see them driving erratically, I will take that number and I will call and I will let that business owner know. So it's been Miami-Dade County, it's been other municipalities, it's been businesses, because I take pride in my community. I want the safety of the folks that I represent. I want them to be safe, and this is a huge issue. So I guess, my next question is what about taking steps to ensure the safety of our residents? One of the questions that I thought about is, should we place cameras inside those large vehicles to monitor them? Now, we've seen the ones that have been documented, that you've seen online and on the internet, where you've seen the train. I'm sure everyone saw that one. The guy was texting on the train and got in an accident, and we saw what happened. And because, we had a camera on, they had a camera on board to see that. Because if not, it turns out to be, he said, she said, and there's no way of determining or putting a finger on this person. To me, when, after we've sent these emails out and we've told them time and time again, and they continue to do it, it gets to a point where, it's disrespectful. It's disrespectful for us, to council, to the manager and his staff, and to the director of that department or of the departments. Because when you guys are telling them what should be happening, and they basically, turn a blind eye, or however you want to say it, they don't care what you're saying. That's very disrespectful. And it's a huge issue. If we need to put in some policy, and I'd like to ask the council that we start looking at that, what can we do to take effective steps in order to ensure the safety of our community? Mr. Manager? Mr. Manager.
First of all, I thank you and the neighborhood group for sending us those photos, because like you, I get really irritated when we have this kind of an embarrassment, because our job is to provide the public with service. They pay for service, and they're entitled to that service. That being said, this particular employee, because we were able to have those photos, we had eyewitnesses, we knew when the exact time it happened, it enabled us to find out who the driver was, it enabled us to speak to the driver, it enabled us to follow progressive discipline, which is the case with all of our employees, which is they get written up the first time, the second time is something more severe, the third time is even more severe. So we're following the process, and typically, that's what you do in the government workplace is you set the rules, and then if people break the rules, then you start, meting out the consequences, and hopefully they don't do it again. The larger issue for me is that it appears in some cases they're rushing through their jobs to get through, and it could only be one or two that are doing this. What I am planning to do tomorrow with our Director of Public Works is, and grab your cameras because this may be the only time you see this, at 7:30 a.m. I will be there. I will be there to have a meeting with them all to discuss this issue along with concerns they may have, because obviously, something's going on, and if they have concerns, then I'd like to hear those as well. Mr. Bailey will be there with us as well, and we'll have a conversation just in terms of what is that we can do to help make their lives a little easier and their jobs more pleasurable, and also what is it they can do to make sure that the service improves a bit, because we are getting complaints all over the city, and it's not just one area, it's all over, and I think each of us have seen it in our own ways. So we want to see improvement in service, but I would also caution everybody that we can't just, one or two doesn't mean that it's everybody, and so we have to be respectful that there's a whole lot of people out there doing their jobs properly and working hard, and we just want to remind them both the nice way and sometimes a little more sternly that we expect to see a better result. And tomorrow morning will be, maybe Mr. Burgess, you can feel free to join us if you'd like. So that's where we're at, and I thank you very much, and to the neighborhood groups for bringing that to attention. And it's an important message for any of our citizens or taxpayers, which is if you see something that you feel does not meet the right standards, please let us know, because we have roughly 450 employees out there, and if somebody's not meeting the standard, we need to know about it. The sooner we know about it, people shouldn't be upset about bothering us or thinking that somehow it's going to be seen as negative. If anything, we embrace this kind of thing because it makes us be a better operation. So my hope is we'll get less and less complaints about this over time. And, we have seen in customer service, we had a blip in some complaints, and I'm hoping you all see you've gotten less of them over time. And so what happens is you get the complaints and they get on your radar screen a lot faster than when you stop getting the complaints. But hopefully we can continue to see a little bit of an improvement on the customer service side as well. But, and all across city departments, if people aren't satisfied, please make sure they are aware that we're here to address their concerns.
Just one final question in regards to those in-dash cameras for our safety. Is that something at a budget cycle or something that you guys could at least find out, what something like that? Maybe not for every vehicle, but our large vehicles. Those are the ones that are going to cause the most problems, the biggest damage, and the ones that get out of control more than anything else. So just a thought. And again, if it's a policy issue that we need to look into, and to ensure it falls under the safety of our community. So I think it's something that should be taken a look at.
So the camera, you're saying, in a trash vehicle, for example,
It'd be facing the driver.
It'd be aimed at the driver.
Yeah. Yeah, the driver. I mean, they have wide-angle lens. It catches the driver in some of the streets. So if there's an accident, was the driver did he fall asleep? It happens with trucks all the time and trains. The large vehicles, did the driver fall asleep at the wheel? Was he on the phone? Was he texting? Was he doing something other than what he should have been doing? And it covers us.
I would just be concerned that we don't target one class of employee and not others.
Well, I said large vehicles. I mean, large vehicles, we have a few departments that have it. I don't want to say, I'm not saying utilities. I mean, waste management. I'm saying our large vehicles. Those are the ones that could get out of hand. Something to consider, to think about, and again, for the safety of our residents. Again, because there's no other way of curbing this other than, he said, she said, and hopefully,
I'm hoping we can provide you with a better result, and I'm assuming we will be able to, and we'll have that discussion will start tomorrow.
Thank you. Sorry to take so much time, but
it's okay. No, I appreciate it.
Very important. Thank you.
Mr. Burgess, you had a question about?
Yeah, just a quick question through you, Mayor, to the HR Director, if I could, please. You say that we send out emails about phone use. What else do we do? Do we have them sign an affidavit saying they understand what our expectations are? And then on the next page, we have, if they do it, A happens, B happens, C happens. Or do we just send them an email and hope they read it?
In addition to the email, we also have an annual policies reminder. I believe
Okay, so
every
we don't
employee
have
sign-
them sign anything.
No, I believe the policies reminder is signed. That's what I was about to say, that I believe that this year last year we got them back sometime in May. We do it around May, around the time hurricane season starts, because we also send out reminders about making sure your address is up to date and telephone numbers and things like that.
Does it include 1, 2, and 3? If
No,
you're caught doing this,
no,
perhaps we need to put that out as a deterrent also, and we need to have a set defined policy of what happens, so that these people understand if they're caught doing it, no matter what department it is, they understand the consequences, and the consequences are A, B, C, not on a per case basis, or whatever. We need to, and I think we run into this time and time again here in the city. We don't have set policies on discipline, and then we don't follow through with the proper paperwork on a discipline. I see James comes to me time after time, or Richard, whoever's sitting there, and says, we have a disgruntled employee who's bringing a lawsuit against the city, and then we don't have the proper paperwork to back up what we need to back up. So at some point, we as a city need to set policy where we start documenting this. And if the supervisors don't want to document it, then we need to have a policy that goes against them. But we need to put this stuff in place so that our employees know what to expect when there's a problem. And two, the city council has protection and the citizens when we have a lawsuit brought against us. Not we don't have paperwork, or the proper policy wasn't followed, or it was Jim and I didn't want to put something in Jim's folder. We need to stop that. We're a bigger city now with too many assets and too many employees, and not all of them have good intentions at the end of the day if something doesn't go their way. So we need to start getting policies written and start following through with these policies from the top down. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Manager.
Yeah, and I appreciate that feedback. Also, just to make clear, this particular driver knew what the policy was and intentionally violated the
Right,
policy.
but do they know what the consequence is? Just because they know that they're not supposed to talk on it, does he know that A is going to happen time 1, B is going to happen time 2, and
Vivian,
C is
could you
going to happen time 3?
Could you explain that portion?
And then
'Cause
does
that's-
his supervisor know to make sure it's put in a file?
Vivian,
Because
could you
time
go-
after time, we see that it's not done.
Could you go through that? Because there's
Sure.
a process we have.
Sure, absolutely. And when the employees receive the human resources guide, that part, Councilman, is in the what they sign. We do have the policy saying this is the discipline policy, this is the progressive discipline that we suggest is followed here at the city, and the employees do sign that as well. So even if the actual annual reminder of policies doesn't include the 1, 2, 3, with both things, we do have signatures from employees that we are able to follow progressive discipline because of that, because they do sign acknowledgement that they know what's going to happen, not just for violating the cell phone use in the vehicle, but for any policy.
So Vivian, could you explain, for example, this particular driver, what would be the progression of events, assuming multiple infractions?
Normally, what would happen is you start with the verbal counseling, and then you would proceed with the written, if it happened again, within a certain period of time also, because, one of the things that's looked at is how long of a distance between the first time that it happened and the next time, and so on. And then you'd have probably a suspension of some kind, and then ultimately termination if it continued.
Okay. Anything else? All right. Thank you. Vice Mayor Shelley.
Thank you, Mayor. I've got 3 items. The first one, I think about a year and a half ago or so, we had a discussion about the trees on Campbell Drive right near the YMCA, as far as the interference that they had with the power lines, and the fact that we essentially keep them so butchered that they no longer look like trees. They're just tall poles with little green things at the very end, but not full leaves. And so at the time there was some discussion about whether or not we could remove those trees, the cost savings that might have as far as power outages and things like that we were having. And it turned out to be a fairly large number, so I think we kind of put it on the back burner and didn't pursue it any farther. But I was having conversations with FDOT when it comes to the truck bypass during those meetings, and one of the things they mentioned is that they are taking some of the right-of-way and are going to take some of the trees right there on Campbell Drive and US 1. And so as a result, you're going to have kind of an S-shaped sidewalk where there's a bend and it comes back out to the regular sidewalk. So I questioned them about that. They seem to indicate that if the city would make a request to keep that sidewalk straight, that also could mean that FDOT would also remove all of those trees and relocate them for us at their expense, not at the city's expense. And so I had a conversation with the city manager about this, and he asked that I bring it up at the council meeting to see whether or not the council wanted the manager to look into that, start talking with FDOT about the possibility of removing those trees and or moving those trees at FDOT's expense. And so that's kind of a...
We know how sensitive everybody is about trees, so we don't want to touch any trees until we got some direction from you all on how you want us to handle those trees.
Yeah, it's something that if we move quickly on, then we can make sure that FDOT, we can, one, negotiate with them to do it, and two, they put it in their plan, so as we get going through, this process should move quickly. We'll know whether or not that's going to be part of that process. So I guess some feedback for the manager on whether or not you guys want him to look at working with FDOT to remove those trees, and for those who haven't seen them, drive down there, they keep them really butchered, so they don't really look like trees. They're on Campbell Drive, on the north side of Campbell Drive, right near the YMCA, or actually the south side of Campbell Drive, north of the YMCA. There's a long line of royal palms, and they run kind of the length there. And the power lines, they're tall enough, they go right into the power lines, so they keep them chopped all the way back. And Ms. Quinones can talk a little bit more about it if she needs to on the trees, but...
Just a question, are these the special palm trees, or are these just regular palm
They're
trees?
the regular royal palms, yeah. They're not the
Okay.
ones that were planted back in 1930s and historic in nature like they were on
Alright.
Chrome. So, but that was the question, whether or not anybody had any objection to that, and did anybody have any affinity where they didn't want those palm trees touched because of some reason or another. Even
I
though they
can't
don't-
guarantee, though, that Mayor Rhodes won't come to the meeting and say something, so.
Well,
Barbara, did you want to talk about the trees a little bit?
Yeah, they'll re-landscape, but that'll be part of the negotiations. As of now, it's just we have to push the issue a little bit to make sure that they'll follow through and do this. And then in exchange, they'll pull the trees, they'll move the trees, whether it be within the city or some other place, wherever we decide to put them, and then some sort of re-landscaping in their place. So something
Just
to
a
be.
quick question before she chimes in to the manager and through Vice Mayor. I mean, is this going to take a big chunk of your time without everything going on? I guess would be my only question.
Yeah, it's a simple thing. We had talked about this in the past because the trees are somewhat of a nuisance to us and we think are having an impact to service there. So if somebody, at the expense of doing it was something that kind of made us reluctant, if somebody can do it for us for free, Barbara, I'm assuming we'd be happy with that, correct?
I'm good with that. With just that, I'm good.
I don't think you need to.
Yeah, we're good.
Is there anybody that's objecting to
Nope.
those trees being moved at someone else's expense? No.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
If I could just mention, there are also oak trees there.
The ones in the middle? Those are, that wasn't part of the discussion. But you can, when you discuss with them, you can talk about some of those other items. But I know the palm trees was the key at this point.
So my hearing, though, we have license to chop down anything there. That
I heard a relocation.
Tread carefully.
Relocation, save the trees.
Tread carefully.
Palm trees only, then, correct? Okay. Nice try.
And then the second item I had was, it came back up on the heels of the upcoming Mardi Gras parade. I know last year that we as a council used the old Centennial float. We wrote it together and used that as kind of our parade, wave and throw candy and things. So it's coming up again this year, but it occurred to me, and this is again just being thrown out for further discussion or decision making, and that is, the possibility of turning that float into a permanent parade float for the council, such that we didn't always have to go out and rent our own cars and worry about organizing the candy and pick up and drop off. We could actually turn that, redesign it completely, and then use that as a single source for all of us to ride in and wave in during all parades as a convenience factor. So something to be considered. I spoke with Dennis about it. It didn't seem to be an issue on the redesign, although obviously there'd be some feedback. Council would figure out how they wanted it to look. Storage seemed to be the problem. There was some sort of an issue about where we would store this float going forward. But it was something I just wanted to raise more of a thought process, just to see whether or not you guys wanted to look into those options, see whether that would save us expenses, because each one of us no longer has to rent a car for each single parade. So it may be a way of convenient, plus we just show up, we can ride, we can wave without having to go through the others. So again, just something to throw out there for thought. see if you guys wanted to pursue that or look into those options and maybe have a further discussion at the CAL. So,
No problem.
okay.
So at the cow, we'll talk about it. Are we going to bring it up at the cow, or would you?
Yeah, I would say if you guys are okay with at least the concept, then we'd
Yeah.
send off staff, Dennis or so, to kind of say what he could propose, what the cost might be, what the cost savings might be, but, all those types of things that we could debate it out and see, do we want to move forward with that, doing kind of a group parade float or something different? So just for consideration. And then the last item I had, we had at one time an ordinance dealing with where schools could go within our community, charter schools specifically because of the proliferation. Where are we in the status of bringing that back for discussion? Because it disappeared for a little while and it hasn't made it back.
I think we brought that to the Education Advisory Committee at a certain point, I believe last fall. And
Okay.
I think we should probably revisit that and get some direction on where it wants to go after that. I could use some direction on if you wanted me to bring it back to a CAL or a council.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see it again, unless there was well, either way, I'd still like for it to come back. And whether if it was a recommendation from the Education Committee that they didn't like the idea at all, or did they want it modified, did they think there was some different changes, or did they like the course of action? And then we can debate it out again and see, do we want, what direction do we want to take it? But I just think that we need to be proactive, because if not, the second round or third round of charter schools or whatever might happen to be coming into town, and we're not going to have anything in place to allow us to have some discretion on where things should go or how many should be around.
We'll bring it back.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I had 3 requests needed to appoint Ron Doris for the Planning and Zoning Board Chair, Joe Marcus for the Vice Chair, and Superintendent Brian Carlstrom to the Tourism Advisory Committee. Could I get a motion to those appointments? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you very much, everyone. Mr. Manager, I know Julio's not here tonight, but we've been talking about in the traffic light sequencing and the question of whether or not it's appropriately set up as to the growth that we're in now. And I don't know if anything's been done, but nothing's moving any better. So,
right. It's safe to say that if it's not one of the major 3 or 4 projects that we're working on the last couple of weeks, we haven't done anything.
Okay.
And I can promise you that every minute of everybody's day has been working to just make sure we don't miss any deadlines and get those projects done. We're hoping we'll have at least a little breathing room once the temporary PD is up and running, and that'll be one less project to deal with. But in terms of some of those other items, we just, Julio's one person down as it is, and they're still at the architect's office trying to resolve the temporary PD thing. So
it could be as simple as us identifying either through Frank Balsabri or Julio or someone. We draft a letter and get their attention to start looking at it, because it just seems like everywhere you go, everything is backed up. And, it makes sense that if the light's open for 10 seconds and you're using the 25,000 number of a resident, now we're at 65,000 and the light's still open for 10 seconds. It makes sense that we could improve the flow by opening up or managing that signalization in a better way, because, come down Chrome, you come off 4th Street and you get in line, and there's just seems to be a constant backlog. And that to me, we're not going to be able to build a lot of roads overnight, but you can turn some switches on and off on on the traffic signals fairly easily. So if it's nothing more than maybe point us in the direction as council, so
yeah, I'm not sure though that's all there is. I think that there needs to be some detail involved, and that's the issue.
I think that the community is realizing the winter push of tourists through here, which is what we want. But I think we could really, Frank, I know you're listening. I know we could probably address this in a meaningful way that would really loosen this thing up a little bit. I think it's a simple. So Frank, if you don't mind giving us a hand as well from your seat at the table. So, but I know everybody's busy. I'm not saying to pull them off, but everybody that sits in traffic gets frustrated.
I understand.
We're not used to that.
I'm not sure though that flipping the switch with the lights is going to be the magical solution here. So I'm I don't want expectations to be that high because I'm not sure.
But we haven't been told it will or won't.
Right.
By the traffic signal guys.
Right.
So, anyway, just keep it on the radar screen for me if you don't mind.
No problem.
I don't really have anything else. Is anything else from council? Is there a motion to adjourn? Is there a second? All in favor? Meeting adjourned. Thank you for being here.